Oh, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. I've also asked the Premier of Gauteng to join me in the session, so he'll be here shortly. But we may continue if there's any questions you would like to ask based on the 2025 State of the City address, which was my first address as the Executive Mayor of the City of Johannesburg. And I'll allow you to take us through any form of questions. You'll see that the angle we took, a bulk of it still emphasizes creation of partnerships, because we are alive to the fact that the task is much bigger and the city alone will not be able to arrest some of its challenges. It requires the private sector, civil society. It also requires national and provincial government to also come in on board. But at the center, it's also about efficient management. And we're also talking to our administration that we need efficiencies in our administration so that our turnaround times can be improved. We can increase our collection to 200 million a day. That daily collection will put us comfortably just at around 6 billion a month, which means we'll be a financially viable city. The Premier is now here also, as I said, he will join us. But here we are. If there's questions from yourself, you're more than welcomed to join us. Ask questions, Pule, on the matters that we have dealt with today. And I'd asked the Premier, I know that he didn't come for an interview, but I requested him to join me in the session. The Premier of Gauteng, Premier Lesufi.
I got the email as well.
Okay, thank you.
I got the email of the Premier.
Okay. The Premier also received an email of the turnaround plan, which we send it live to him and to the President of the Republic of South Africa. Okay. Any questions? If there are no questions, we can go home.
2, 3, 4, 5. In that order.
No, it's fine. I'll use this.
Mayor Pullen Chidi Jones from PSA. Just maybe firstly, you spoke about war on potholes. How is this going to happen? The first time we hear about this. Previous Mayor Kabalo Commander made the same promise as well. So how are you looking at accomplishing this? The bomb squad toss team. Can you tell us more about it? And will it also involve the young people who will be driving this toss team? And what's the reason behind it if there's already a presidential working group? And then lastly, the DA has filed a motion of no confidence against you. Are you still confident that you're the right man for the job? They believe that they have the numbers to ask you. Just a reaction on that.
Hi Mayor, thank you so much for your speech. Breaking here from Netwerk 24. Mayor, I just want to get an indication of how bad the city's finances are. You mentioned that in your speech as well. Is that an issue? Do you have enough money for the next day, for the next month, for the next year? What's happening with that? And then you ran through all of the mayors the city has had the past couple of years. Is the city maybe perhaps caught up in politics at this stage and unable to build momentum to move forward? Thank you, Mayor.
Hi, Mayor. Zintle from Bloomberg. I just have a few questions. What is the plan to address the backlog in investment in transport, roads, water and electricity? What concrete steps are you taking? Where will the money come from? And also in your speech you mentioned that growing 3% GDP growth in 5 years. Where will the money come from? And what is the feasibility of that plan?
Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Mboleka from the Sunday Times. I'm partially covered by my colleague Pule on the issue of the bomb squad. And secondly, Mr. Mayor, you announced plans to rotate members of your mayoral committee. While some might welcome this move, to ensure that the leadership of the city, rotates and leads in different portfolios. Some might say you're going to cause issues with institutional memory, rotating senior managers as well. I mean, if we already know it takes a while for someone to get into an office, understand how it works, its mechanisms, its plans, and then to draft a way forward. If you're constantly rotating them, what are you saying about longevity in terms of the people leading in your administration? Thank you very much.
Okay, last one, Alpha.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor. Alfara Mushwana here, journalist at Eyewitness News. Partially covered by Sisanda, but I also want to know about the rotation of members of the mayoral committee. I mean, the 2026 local government elections are just possibly a year away. Would you not be sabotaging yourself and the members of the mayoral committee if you decide to rotate them now, just before the local government elections? Like Sisanda said, institutional memory is also a factor in this. And also the electricity surcharge, you acknowledge that it's financially burdening your customers, and you offered some sort of tariff relief to your industrial customers. But what about households who obviously won't be able to pay the 200 rand surcharge? Why aren't they being afforded that same tariff relief? Thank you.
Okay, this is the first round.
Oh.
Arshen Fezi. Rinkemba Lirsha, 1 round of right.
Mayor, in your address, you thanked the President for having provided assistance in terms of service delivery. Are you able to just explain to us what sort of assistance that was and what benefits has it yielded so far?
Yeah. There's more hands now. Yeah.
Mayor, this question of crime and illegal immigration tied to, or however, from UFM, tied to it, the hijacking of buildings. Exactly how do you plan on tackling it? Because we have heard before that it will be tackled, but how do you plan on doing it, especially since immigration is a function of national government?
Okay, Lunga.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor. My name is Lunga from the Merit Guardian. Mayor, I just want to just find out to say, what qualified Mr. Sigalala to be the leader of the bomb squad? What was the reason behind you choosing him specifically to be the leader of that? And maybe clarity also on the rotation part. Are you on the rotation? Are you saying you're going to be swapping them around, or are you completely removing them and putting new people? Because I think if you can clear them up, because rotation sometimes in political terms can say you are removing them completely. Are you rotating them to say this MMC maybe from here to there, or just completely removing them? Thank you.
Okay, let's afford the mayor and the premier.
Thanks. Let me respond on the first issue, which is quite a critical issue, which refers to growing the GDP by 3%. My voice is almost gone. I hope you'll hear me.
Audible.
And for us to grow the national economy by at least an additional 3%, it means Johannesburg, currently we are growing at just around 2%, which is even higher than sovereign. Now we need to grow that to at least 3%. We're currently at 2%. If we are very serious about growing the economy of South Africa and addressing economic challenges plus joblessness and all those issues, we have to commit to creating growth at least to 3%. And how are we going to do that? We have to ensure that we create an environment first conducive for business to thrive. 2, we must ensure that the cost of doing business in Johannesburg and in Gauteng is reduced by ensuring, for example, whether it's building plans, whether it's water licenses, all sorts of things that for some reasons becomes an impediment towards business. We must fast track them and shorten the period in which we approve, whether it's rezoning, water license, all sorts of issues related to the cost of doing business in Johannesburg. And we are therefore saying Johannesburg must commit, working together, of course, with business and the private sector, that we must grow our economy so that our GDP increases at least with an additional 1 percentage point in the next 5 years to be at about 3%. You'd know that for the longest of time, we've been at 2%. So we need to start being aggressive and providing leadership towards achieving that 3%. So that is how best I could try and respond to your question. And there's issues which is Sisanda and Alpha and Lunga asked almost similar question. The proposal that the mayor is putting on the table is that there's a need for me, based on the new priorities, based on the turnaround plan and strategy, requires that, of course, we move around based on the skill sets that are currently sitting in the mayoral committee, that we move them around. It's not a reshuffle, it's a rotation. If it was a reshuffle, it would have meant others would have been removed. But at this stage, we're not removing anyone, except it's a rotation. Whether we will lose institutional memory, no, we will not lose any form of institutional memory, because the same team has been in the mayoral committee since I've been mayor, and even before I was appointed as the mayor, so we will not lose institutional memory, except to say that there's a need for us to strengthen certain areas of importance in accordance to the new strategy plan, so that we can achieve a higher mileage, and people should then see that indeed there's a turnaround in the city of Johannesburg. The presidential support remains. We've now created all the work stream, but where I'm coming from, I'm also raising a critical issue that there's a need to add an economic growth work stream, which will then start engaging with issues on how we are going to grow the economy, how we're going to grow our GDP in Johannesburg to at least the levels of about 3%. So that economic growth work stream has to respond to those issues. They will then advise on how we are going to grow this economy. So we need another work stream which is focused purely on economic growth. You'd know that South Africa itself as a country has to grow economically for us to be able to address, firstly, the unemployment issue, be able to raise enough capital to address infrastructure and all other challenges that are affecting South Africa. And there was a question, of course, in terms of electricity surcharge, which I think Alpha likes the question. But Alpha doesn't accept when I say 103,000 customers who are on prepaid are not who are on ESP, our extended social package, are not charged the 200 availability charge, except those that are not on ESP are therefore charged. Secondly, conventional customers are already charged way above prepaid customers. So we then took a view that both prepaid and conventional, we are not going to increase the availability charge for 2025, 2026. It remains at 200 and it remains at 920 for conventional customers. So we are not charging or increasing both. What we are then saying, the industrial customers who are creating employment, creating jobs, growing the economy, that we want to relook at giving them certain options in terms of reductions in some of their tariffs. But the options that we are going to be looking at, because we believe we want to attract even more industries coming into Johannesburg so that we can achieve the 3% that I'm talking about. It will not just come unless the city is also going to give certain trade-offs to businesses, and we can address and attract big industrial businesses. Well, the name of Snooki Zikalala, you'd know that he's also spearheading. At some point, he was chairing the local government intervention committee at the headquarters of the ANC. And based also on his skills, you'd know that at some point he was the CEO somewhere there at Mbali. So we believe the man has the right skill sets to help us to turn around. And he's a Joburger himself. He's a ratepayer here in Joburg. So we believe he has the ability, the knowledge to help us turn around. And he's a no-nonsense man. And for me, we think Snooki will help us to turn this thing around. All what we are asking him to do, we are going to be setting up teams in the administration also that will help us achieve this turnaround as quickly as possible. And we believe that, for example, in finance, they will come in and say, why are we not achieving what we should be achieving? So that's exactly what the bomb squad will be doing. And we think Snooki Zikalala is one of the individuals, a Joburger, that we think will help us navigate. You'd see the team will also have other former senior officials of government who have the necessary set skills to help us. It does not contradict with the presidential task team. It will run alongside of the work streams of the presidential intervention or support team. I think I've covered all your questions.
Speak on motion, so I'll speak to it.
Motion? What like Eric Gauteng Premier, because Pule wants me to leave. It's the second time he asked me this question.
Thank you so much, Executive Mayor. I think the first thing I need to congratulate you for a well-articulated State of the City address with clear plans and implementation programs, and we're excited that we have received yours. We received the address of Tshwane and then Ekurhuleni, now finally Johannesburg, that cement and conclude all the plans that we need for the province. And I'm excited, Executive Mayor, in the manner that we have delivered the speech, but most importantly, the content of the speech. It's so information heavy, rich, and it will assist us then to move forward. It just supplements everything that we've been saying, from the potholes, energy, investment, job creation. So we're quite excited as a province that you finally delivered the speech. And now it's the joint task of implementing this speech. In the last 3 weeks, we've been meeting with our coalition partners across the province. We met with the economic freedom fighters 2 days ago. We met with Action SA, and all these parties have committed to continue to work with us, not only in provincial government, but also in all our municipalities in the province. So I can confidently declare that anyone that wants to put a motion of no confidence against any of our municipalities, not Johannesburg only, we are ready for them. They can bring it on. They tried in Ekurhuleni, again, we defeated them. They tried in Esidibeng, we defeated them. So there's no need to panic in Johannesburg. Besides, to register our disappointment that there are certain political parties, if it's not them that are in government, they want to disrupt government. Even at crucial moments, when we have to attend to real service delivery work, they sidetrack us with a frivolous motion of no confidence. And they know in Johannesburg they don't have the numbers. If you combine all political parties that are running this municipality, we are way even above 65% of governance here. So there's no way that the motion will succeed, but it's a democratic right of any political party to bring those motions. The only answer that we have for them is that bring it on. We'll defeat it quickly, pass and concentrate on the task at hand. And the task is very simple. What the presidential task team has been identified, assigned the task. Now we've got the bomb squad that is going to accelerate and strengthen the implementation plan. And we also have our war room in the province. So people will start to see the changes that we want to bring in our province, in particular in our municipalities. But remember, you get Johannesburg right, you've got 50% of Gauteng right. That is why we are here, and that's why we're looking forward to the speech. we're excited the manner in which the speech was packaged and delivered, and we're looking forward to consolidate everything so that we can start to service our people and attend to all the issues that need to be attended in the province. Once more, Executive Mayor, congratulations. And I can assure you after this, your voice will come back, because the voice needed to be accelerated and be taken out, all of it, so that everyone can understand what we are saying. Thank you so much, Executive Mayor.
Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much, Premier.
That's Bloomberg for you.
Can I ask about
Correct.
crime, Mayor?
I didn't answer those questions. The Premier didn't help me.
How bad the financial crisis?
Well, it's not bad, because we are still able to meet our financial obligations. But we're not happy with the state of our finances. We want it to improve and be better. But at this stage, we're not happy with it. At least we can service our loans, we can pay back what, so we are fine, but not to that extent that we are unable to even raise sufficiently to try and address infrastructure backlogs with our own money. There are challenges in terms of our water infrastructure. We have said it before. The entire infrastructure backlog, both water and electricity, roads, is probably sitting at about 200 billion for us to be able to resolve and make a serious change. But we have committed to raising capital in the next 5 to 10 years and be able to raise that money to be able to address infrastructure backlogs. What we are also doing, we are also raising financial instruments from markets, which are helping us to address some of the issues. Whether, I think right now we've also secured just around 500 million to address water reservoirs. We've got about 45 water reservoirs that requires refurbishment, and it's going to require some money. So we are starting with about 24 immediately in the new financial year to try and fix and refurbish those water reservoirs. We continue to do a pipe replacement program to address the water leakages that we are faced with. So our commitment, of course, is addressing infrastructure, especially water and electricity, so that we can protect revenue and raise revenue. We're also doing work and partnerships also in terms of our traffic signals. We've entered into different partnerships with the private sector, the last one being the Prime Media, which are now going to be monitoring and helping us to ensure that William Nicol, parts of William Nicol don't go, the signals are on all the time. Mandela Drive, Winnie Mandela Drive. So we are busy with those partnerships to help us deal with the infrastructure. It's a bigger program. We're also looking at other alternative energy in terms of electricity mix or energy mix to address some of those projects. And I think in Ward 122, we're also implementing a small project, which is a microgrid, to help us deal with informal settlements, which will give us about 4 megawatt of electricity. So we are trying all sorts of projects that can also help us to remove some of the people off the grid and put them into alternative sources of energy. So we are focused on addressing infrastructure as much as we can. Crime, as we said, the bomb squad, priority number 1, crime prevention and bylaw enforcement. We came alive to a fact that reality for us to turn around all these things that we have spoken about in the last few State of the City addresses. Core problem in Johannesburg is lawlessness and crime. And we are saying focus on those, be consistent in dealing with crime and bylaw enforcement. We believe that things will turn around. For example, you will not have robots or traffic lights that are cut off or stolen if you're dealing with crime and lawlessness through bylaw enforcement. You will not have buildings that are hijacked if you're consistent in implementation of your bylaws. You will not have unruly behavior in the streets and all sorts of things if you are addressing your bylaws. So the focus and an investment we are doing is bylaw investment. In fact, the Premier himself has also made a commitment that in supporting bylaw enforcement, we signed a contract between the Premier and all other agencies or metropolis departments throughout Gauteng that will also collaborate and work together. We also signed a contract between Johannesburg, the Premier and the Minister of Police to work together in addressing crime, which means collaboration with Home Affairs so that we can effectively deal with illegal and undocumented migrants, which is a problem in Johannesburg because of the conduct and the behavior that comes out. So that is why we have made a decision that bylaw enforcement, crime prevention, those are at the core of dealing with lawlessness. Once we can do that, we think it will be easier for us to deal with all other issues in Johannesburg. You have to be free to walk around. You have to, journalists should not panic when I say the press conference or is at Usindiso House. And they shouldn't think twice getting into the heart of the inner city. So that's what we're going to try and do.